This week on RSBANDB Update, Hati, Sköll, Fenrir, and Vic are back for another January. We also get a glimpse of the mining and smithing beta, clue scroll rework, and will the bank taster eliminate the need for the main course of a bank rework? And a discussion on Nintendo Labo. This is RSBANDB Update, episode 654, recorded Thursday, January 18th, 2018, the musical survey. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to RSBANDB Update's second episode of RSBANDB Update for the year of 2018. Tanis, you're back. Welcome back.
Thank you, and what an episode we have for you.
Yeah, you know, this was an update week that we were anticipating would be relatively quiet, and it was, and I am thankful for that, but I'll get into why later. This week, you know, this update tends to happen every January, so it was well anticipated, and that's Hati, Sköll, and Fenrir, and the rest of the wolves have returned by Relica, but also with that we got Vic the Traitor. So, question for you: Did you go and fight Hati and Sköll this year?
No, not yet.
Yeah.
So my plans are to fight them probably after the show this evening, to tell you the truth. But I've had a really super busy week. So when I saw that that's who it was, I'm like, well, there's almost absolutely nothing new to this. So I know exactly where I need to go. I know what I need to do. And it's literally going to take me 10 minutes. So,
yeah, exactly.
You know,
exactly.
Now I did go see Vic first thing because I knew I had some bonus XP that I needed to get converted to dunge tokens immediately.
So just to recap on Hati and Sköll. So basically, Hati gives you combat XP as well as the pause, as well as a cosmetic cloak and hood, combat XP at any of the combat skills, bonus XP rather. I dumped mine into ranged. I don't know if I'm going to keep it there, but we'll just wait and see. Sköll, you find by adding 120 logs to the bonfire, which is west of Relica, and that gives bonus XP and agility, or woodcutting, as well as a cosmetic amulet. Fenrir is by the golden apple tree, and this will give you bonus XP in herblore or summoning, as well as cosmetic gear for the body and legs. And finally, if you get both the helmet and the spear of ear, you can return them to her at the golden apple tree, and she will grant you bonus XP in divination or prayer, plus overrides for both items. So, you know, if you've done this in the years before, there's really no reason to do this year unless you want the bonus XP, which, I mean, I guess bonus XP is a good thing, right?
Well, while Vic is here, it's kind of nice that it's, you know, coincides with that. The only other thing that I noticed was I could be wrong, but I swore in the news post they said that you could actually get one of the pieces from doing divination. I didn't know if that was new this year, if you could do that before. So that was kind of a surprise, I guess. Usually you don't have to worry about it anyway.
Yeah, but. And I mean, I think that's the case. Actually, I remember that being the case the year before.
Okay.
It was just much slower. So
yes, and I always fight the wolves anyway. So I didn't know that was a thing until this year when I had read it. Yeah.
And I mean, it makes sense, I think, to do it this week because, you know, if you're going to do it for anything for bonus XP, just use it for those extra bonus XP points. And, you know, I don't want to advocate that, but, you know, hey.
You know.
But, I mean, it is what it is. And, I mean, Vic points are actually kind of useful, right? So
they are, and they've added that tree outfit thing that was really expensive on Treasure Hunter before.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point right now to jump over to Vic. And this week with Vic, they had the Sun Fury outfit and the Nature Sentinel outfit, and those are the ones you're saying that were very hard to get previously. So
yeah,
that's
I have the Sun Fury, but it cost it was expensive. So,
Yeah, 200 credits per piece.
yeah. I mean, I was lucky to grab it when it came through the first time, but I also know people that did the nature spirit outfit, and they had a rough time of it. So,
Yeah.
but Vic is great so that you can, do some trading and get stuff, and a skill that you're actually going for a
That's
120 or a
right.
99 or
Definitely.
something that you care about.
What do you think? What do you think? Which one's the better one to go for, Sun Fury or Nature's Sentinel?
It depends on your vanity level.
Okay,
Look,
explain.
Sun Fury looks good. It's cosmetic,
Yeah,
Nature Spirit, that's actually a woodcutting thing, isn't it?
yeah, that's
And not a
right.
skilling outfit. So, it just depends, how much into Fashionscape you are, I
Yeah,
guess.
and I mean, at some point, I think we're gonna get the full-blown Nature Sentinel piece available in game, right?
Well, with the way that they were talking last week, yeah, I believe so. And yeah, there is no end to my RuneScape vanity, by the way. So
Yeah. And I mean, if you want to look like trees, then the Nature Sentinel is what you want to do with that. The Nature Sentinel gives 5 daily teleports to various woodcutting locations, 5% increased success chance while woodcutting, which stacks with the Lumberjack auras. 5% increased chance to obtain Bird's Nest and Crystal Geodes, and this stacks with other sources like the Woodcutting Cape perk, or the Rabbit Foot, or the Tree Shaking Scrimshaw. And I'm going to take this as a moment to say that, I wish that woodcutting was as good for invention as fishing is.
yeah, there's
Because, I mean,
yeah,
like, I would much rather train woodcutting than fishing. So,
which is unfortunate because there are woodcutting methods that are comparable to fishing XP per hour methods. So, um,
but it's
I
not
don't
the
know
same when it
why
comes to
that's not the same in
garnering
invention.
invention.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I don't really understand that either. They're both just about as AFK as the other. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
definitely. So, and plus, I mean, it's always a nice perk to be able to get, the extra bird's nests and whatnot if you're using Nature's Sentinel. And, for me, that just synergizes a lot more, a lot better with the farming and whatnot. So,
Makes sense.
I personally would probably wait to buy Nature's Sentinel until it becomes released in game by way of the woodcutting skill. But that's just me. Now, you're getting all this bonus XP from Hati, Sköll, Fenrir, and Ear. What do you think is the best place to put your bonus XP with Vic? Because there are a multitude of choices. You said put it in a skill you're going for 124.
Well, that's one choice. I'm probably going to people are going to want to form a mob and grab pitchforks because I actually convert mine into dunge tokens because I really, really want the gold accumulator, the permanent one, and I really, really don't want a dunge. So that's what I did.
Okay.
It's not, in fact, it's not exactly probably efficient, but what was I doing with it anyway? So
Yeah. All right.
you know,
Right now I'm of 2 camps, actually 3. Number 1, put the XP on Herblore, because I will be doing Herblore on double XP weekend.
nice.
Put the XP on Invention, reduce the amount of Invention I need to do. Granted, it's only a 50% boost, not double on the XP you get, because I am going for high level Invention. I think around 99 probably. Let's just say for now. So, but that doesn't solve the Invention post 120 problem. So I don't know if it's worth putting it on Invention with it being below, or you only getting 50% of the XP for it.
Look, my advice is to not put bonus experience on invention, and the reason I say that is because invention post 99 comes. it just comes by doing what you do. Unless you're like really highly motivated for something that you need, which wasn't the case when I was doing it because there wasn't any post 99 content to really worry about.
Right.
Everything you do, whether you're wood cutting, whether you're fishing, whether you're fire making, I mean, especially now, anything you do, you can get invention experience. So I wouldn't really waste it on that myself if it was me.
All right. And the third option is to get some other Slayer masks, but I could do Shattered Worlds for that.
Yeah.
So.
And there could be some improvements this year. So
let's hope so.
Let's
hope so.
Have that. I say get the bang for your buck and get the old herb blower. I mean, and just start slamming it on double XP.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. And, dungeoneering tokens, I think, is also a good idea, like on your side for what you said, if that's what you're going for. Like, for example, I have 992 Vic points right now. So that would basically allow me to purchase, what is that, like 11 huge fallen stars for Herblore. And based on the way the numbers are with that, let's see, that would be around 900,000 bonus XP for that skill.
Yeah, that would be a nice little chunk.
Yeah. But at the same time, I don't know. I just nothing is jumping out at me that I need on there. So I don't know. It's really funny because back in the day, Vic is something I would wait for, but at this point, it's like I don't really feel like I need him. I don't know if you feel the same way.
What do you give to the player that has it all? I don't know. But I feel the same way. Like I was always waiting for something that Vic had, but I think a lot of that changed for me when we were allowed to start making the skill outfits in game.
Exactly. And I mean, I see that as a way of training and, basically end game content for the skills now. So I won't even purchase those if I have the ability to do so. So I don't know. I'll probably just go with the Herblore XP, but it's definitely an interesting thought at this point, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Alrighty, well, there's Vic. I don't think there's much else to talk about with Vic. I mean, Vic is Vic, right? So,
yeah.
You can access him in Berthorpe. I believe you can also access him in Prith and Menaphos, if I recall correctly. So, there we go. Now, that was the update of the week, and you might expect that to be consequential and whatnot. But there's also a Fremenic lore story here that you can read if that's the kind of thing you're into. That is on the news post. I'll just mention that in passing. But the main thing I want to talk about this week is that Jagex has put out a survey pertaining to the music tracks in RuneScape, and they're saying, would you like your favorite RuneScape tracks on Spotify and iTunes, or perhaps even as a premium package, 180-gram vinyl? And they're looking for ways to make this possible, and they want to know what people would like to hear. And, that's a very big question because there are over 1,200 songs to think about when you're working with this. Now,
I'm so conflicted about this.
Why is that?
Because part of me, okay, I like what they've done with the music. It's really good now. And I think it would probably do pretty well, especially for the hipsters on vinyl. But can I see myself jamming to some RuneScape? No, I can't. I don't see myself doing that. So therein lies the conflict. But sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I actually, I'm glad you said that because, there are a lot of people out there who like RuneScape music tracks. And the problem I have right now is that the only ones I would be interested in are the relatively modern ones because the ones from 2007 are effectively going to be MIDI tracks that are rendered with high quality instruments. And basically what that means is that when these were created, they were just created on a computer with pretending they had an entire orchestra, but in reality, they let the Windows 98 computers of the day render the tracks in MIDI, and that's where RuneScape MIDI music got all of its charm. And it wasn't until later in RuneScape 2's life that they actually rendered these MIDI tracks and packaged them away and have the high-quality versions of them. So that's most of what you have with the 2007 tracks. And for me, that's not one that I'm interested in. But as I was saying, it gets really interesting for me when you move towards the RuneScape 3 tracks and, RuneScape 12 and whatnot. For example, Angel of Death fight music and the Angel of Death prelude. Those are two real good music tracks. If you ever fight next and you have those on, they are upbeat, and, it breaks it away from being, just a standard RuneScape boss fight, in my opinion. So there's that. A couple of the other ones that are on here in the RuneScape 2, almost RuneScape 3 collection are everyone's favorite Temple Desecrated from While Guthix Sleeps, of course, because we talked about this, right? Numerous times in the past. So that's there. There's also on this collection iconic tracks from Plague's End, for example, the Dark Lord. Also the Lord of Vampirium, that one is there as well. Virago, if you fight Virago, that's also a good one. Music from raids and, Beastmaster Durzag and Yakamuru. Also God Wars Dungeon 1, Zaros Zeitgeist and whatnot. So there are some good ones in this collection that I would be interested in. So I did express my interest for those ones, and I said, yes, I would be interested in them. And, for me personally, it would be the CD format because, you purchase a CD, you're supporting Jagex more than you are if you purchase a just a streaming copy of it, because then you're also going to get some artwork with it in the CD jacket and so on and so forth. But then it gets really interesting with the orchestral compilation with the launch of RuneScape 3. And this is when RuneScape, I think, really stepped it up to the next level. And, for so long, I don't know about you, but one thing people always laughed at about RuneScape was their music, right?
Yeah, I mean, and I totally agree. Like the orchestral music from RuneScape 3, and we talked about this several times. Like it really modernized it. It's really good. I don't know though, but can you see yourself listening to that CD in some other context other than playing RuneScape?
Probably not. But I like.
That's my problem.
See,
that's what I'm having.
But you see, the thing is, I like collector's items of things I'm deeply passionate about. Like Star Trek.
Okay.
I have lots of Star Trek collectible items, and I'd like to add some RuneScape stuff to that list if they were of high quality, right?
See, that's fair, but in that case, then let's do vinyl.
But I don't listen to vinyl, and I don't have. I would just rather have it as a CD.
But you're not going to listen to the CD.
But I'm not going to frame vinyl up of RuneScape. I mean, I'm not that dedicated,
Okay. I mean, I can just see it now. Shane's laid back in the seat, got the top down. What you bumping? RuneScape, dog. It's RuneScape. It's Angel of Death. What up?
So some songs in the orchestral compilation that I think really signify that era of RuneScape is the Prifdina's combo. 3 tracks that are there, but also Memories of Guthix and Newbie Melody, because those were both remastered with RuneScape 3. And of course, Memories of Guthix is what kicked in the Third Age and effectively RS3. We also have, Escape Bold, the login music that is always done well. The Town, The Village, also very good. Village Dance, Village Life. And, you're wondering how I know what all these tracks are, but I just do know what all these tracks are, and I know they are in that collection that would be worthwhile. And, they have done some experimenting with this, in that they have released a number of tracks like this before. They released actually a RuneScape 3 soundtrack that was given away in the goodie bags of RuneFest, I want to say, 2016. So this is something they have done before and they can do. And they actually also released one this year as well at RuneFest called RuneScape Through the Ages, combining basically an anthology of these tracks. And I think if they actually just released RuneScape Through the Ages that they gave out at RuneFest, I think that would be a good tester for this case, because it contains practically everything from all the different eras and whatnot. So it's something that they have dabbled in before, but it's nothing that they have taken to the wider RuneScape community. It's just been given away as a gift.
Well, I think it would be that would be sufficient. That would be a good way to test things, and also I think it would be enough. They don't have to reinvent the wheel here with this. So I would, if they're going to do it, then do it like that. I do have a confession. The RuneScape 2 login music is my favorite.
Yeah, and I mean, there are
it's
certain
just
tracks
iconic to me. I don't know
that when you hear them, it's RuneScape, and that just brings it back to the very core of the game, right?
Exactly. Well, and the thing about that is like it. So there are a few games that have these like these themes that when you hear them, you just think it's like the Mario music. When you hear the Mario music, it's Mario. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter how old you are, whatever, Mario. And I feel like that RuneScape 2 login music is kind of like that. When you hear it, you're like, oh, RuneScape, So I think that's why I like it so much.
Yeah, I agree. And another collection that they're able to put together is the Choral collection, and that includes songs like Book of 1,000 Songs and Sithreed Requiem from One Piercing Note as well as Elven Voice during the Voice of Saren. So all of these ones here, have been featured in RuneScape, time to time. And I mean, do you ever think that when you're going to be listening to a musician or you hear Book of 1,000 Songs that, these are actual people singing this? Like that's something that kind of steps out and beyond for RuneScape, I think.
Yeah, that's true. And I did really enjoy the One Piercing Note soundtrack. Just everything in that was good.
Yeah, they definitely should put that in here. And there are options for that. Now, I think that people can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that what we're going to see here is we're going to see people who are dedicated to the game answering the survey, and we're going to get pretty much a cross section of the most iconic RuneScape music here, with some other suggestions, because in each of these options here, there's an option to fill in your own other song that might not be listed here. And there are other songs in game, specifically some of the musicians that aren't highlighted in this survey. So people will be filling that in, and we might get some pretty interesting things with this. Now,
give me some EDM mix. Hey,
yeah,
womp womp.
And that could come with the form of the Black Sabbath one from the Halloween a number of years ago.
Yeah,
you remember that one?
Yeah.
So, now they are also offering a question in this survey for what kind of collection you would like, and like you said, you could have a Clan Citadel's collection or even a One Piercing Note collection as well with this. So those are all potential options here for completing this survey. So, I mean, if this is something that you're interested in, definitely go there and answer this and fill these in, because I think that could guide a lot of stuff forward. And they do say that they will get back to us in good time after they get the results from this survey. So I would very much like to see what came from this. And then there's
I was going to say this is the good kind of player feedback.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And then there's a final question. What would you describe yourself as? I enjoy playing old school RuneScape and RuneScape at different times. I'm a RuneScape player. I'm an old school player. I used to play old school RuneScape and RuneScape, but not anymore. I used to play RuneScape, or I used to play old school RuneScape. So they can basically segment it out and see, oh, maybe we need to make a specific old school CD, or maybe we should just make a CD for everyone, if there's some good cross-lap there. So I really want to know what's coming with this, and the fact that Jagex is dedicating substantial resources to recording music, specifically, recall the Abbey Road competition at the tail end of last year, that they went there and they recorded some RuneScape tracks. So that's a significant investment. So we're in a good place when it comes to music, and people used to knock it, but I think that is, when combined with the graphics, one of the things that makes RuneScape a whole experience.
Yeah, and it's too bad people play with their sounds off most of the time.
Yeah,
but it has come a long way.
And the main reason I play with my sounds off is because most of the time I'm doing something else at the same time. So I'll have I'll leave the sounds on if I'm wood cutting or just moving around. But if something else is being watched, I think it makes sense to turn the music off. So
naturally, yeah.
But that's the music survey. You can find a full link in the or link to that in the show notes at update.rsbandb.com. All right. So this week we also got a content showcase. So what did we see in the January content showcase?
We have a lot, and we have some really, really cool stuff to talk about with that. So first of all, we have a date for a mining and smithing beta.
Woo!
So are you ready? So it's going to be February 12th, thereabouts is what they said. And I'll be damned, I think they've learned how to do a beta. I am surprised and shocked and thrilled. So the information they gave us is that the beta all players can participate in the beta, although it's a members server, but it is a test square. So just like we saw on the streams prior that showed where they were with the mining and smithing update, that's what it's going to be like.
Good.
Good. Yes, right? No bosses, none of that. Once again, good, because now we're going to get people that are actually testing the content. You can set your level for whatever you want your level to be. So you
that was going to be my next question.
Yes, you don't carry yourself over, your account doesn't carry over or whatever. You set your level at whatever you want so that you can test the different stuff. The people that participate in this beta are going to be people that are really trying to help and test this, and they're going to get better data, better feedback from this beta, I think, than any that they've ever done before. I don't know what took so long, but this is how you do a proper beta, I think. In my opinion, this looks good. I don't know. What do you think, Shane?
I definitely like the idea of the singular map square. I also like the idea of being able to set your own level. Though there are two potential downsides that I can see from this. Downside number one is that are people going to set their levels to level 1 and level to level 30 and test that part of the skill? Or is everyone just going to set themselves up to level 90 and see what it looks like when you're leveling, from 90 to 99? And for that reason, I think there needs to be I don't know if this is possible with the technical limitations of it, but I think there needs to be some kind of beta reward, kind of like they had the Mad Scientist outfit before. And the beta reward would have to be granted, based on completing various parts of, or rather testing various parts of the new mining and smithing system by, for example, spending a certain amount of time between levels 1 and 30, 30 to 50, 50 to 70, and 70 to 99, and so on and so forth. Maybe add a second bracket in there from 92 to 99, for example, just so we're, going halfsies on that. And, that's issue one, and I think that, could be addressed fairly well. But at the same point in time, I think what needs to happen is there needs to be a good number of people going in to test this beta, and not just testing it on the first day when it comes out on February 12th, I think you said was the date.
Mm-hmm. And it'll be here for 2 weeks. Yeah,
exactly. So it needs to be testing that carries on through the entire 2-week period. with that, as
Oh.
in, you don't just go in there for a day and say it's good. Now, there are some inherent fears I have with this. Do we have, or rather does Jagex have a place where they can look online and get feedback that isn't going to be warped in some way? Because we all know that a certain website out there will silence opinions that they don't like.
Mm-hmm. And that does seem to be, that's a downside. I believe that, maybe they should have an internal way of issuing feedback.
Just use the official forums, right?
Yeah, those can get kind of
or maybe
too.
Well, you know what they could do with that? They have the confidential feedback threads, right?
No, but keep talking.
Basically, every week they put out a new update, a new gameplay update. They have a confidential feedback thread where anyone can go in there, post their ideas, and feedback on the update without other players seeing your feedback. And the idea behind this is that you can be completely candid with Jagex and not need to worry about some asshat coming in down below you and replying and ripping away your thread.
Now, I like that. That sounds wonderful.
Right. So, maybe confidential feedback for the beta is a way to go.
Yeah, that would be great. And let me just make a little prediction here, and bear with me, okay? From what they've been talking about and what I saw, I think they have done an excellent job at this rework. They have found a way to make this rework. They found a way to make smithing a real skill that is valuable, and I don't know how well it's going to be received. Okay, and the reason why is I feel like
it's different.
Get out the soapbox. No, but I feel like there's a lot of players that have forgotten what the RP and MMO RPG means.
There you go.
Especially in RuneScape.
Yeah.
But they have made this so that if you want to be a smith and that is your thing, and you are a smith and you smith swords and you take, you know what I mean? And that's how you play the game, you can get your material. You can sustain yourself that way. I think that's wonderful. Will people appreciate it? I don't know. I hope they do.
And that leads me into my second point of concern, is that there's no way to test the economic benefit towards skillers for this and to see if those will be something that can make the skill profitable, and if it's something people will be willing to buy, right?
Yeah, and I think people will be willing to buy it. It's going to be...
Oh, yeah, there's always people who are going to buy
I think
stuff for stupid prices, right?
Yeah. There will be people that will want to do it. There will be some. And there will be plenty of people that will buy. But my fear is it's going to be all the other clowns that make their voices loud and say, we don't care. Because they want the biggest XP drop at the fastest time, because most XP per hour, and they don't care about anything else. And that is what's going to screw this whole thing up.
Sure. I completely hear you on that. And, it's up to the art of Jagex, because yes, it is an art to ensure that when this happens, that people will be heard for the reason that they deserve to be heard. And what that means is that if someone comes in and is spreading all sorts of FUD and, basically being a downer about this update without truly justifying their position, their opinion does not deserve to be heard by Jagex. And because of that, I really hope, going back to my initial point of fear about this, that the feedback that they collect will be done confidentially.
Yeah, and I mean, some of that will be cut down, because if you're in this beta, you're there to test mining. you can't screw around. You can't go boss practicing and all this other stuff that people do. So that's good. It will probably cut down some of that. But yeah, I totally agree that if it was confidential feedback, it would be probably a lot more accurate. So, but I do think they're on the right track. I do think this will be the best one they've done to date, at least with what they're doing so far.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. Fingers
Yeah.
crossed. Did we get any other further information about the mining and smithing beta, or was that it?
That was that was kind of the big announcement. It'll depend on the beta, I think, on when this will come out, which will probably be later in the year. But it was pretty much exactly where they left off at the last content showcase, where they showed the chick axe and all that stuff.
All right.
Same deal.
So what else did we see this week?
Well, we also saw a little bit about the clue scroll rework, and that was kind of cool. I mean, even to someone like me who absolutely does not like clue scrolls, so it was still kind of cool. So first, all the Premier members are going to get a free Master Clue, which is the new tier of Clue, and you can pick these up at this the Clue hub that's like south of the old GE in Varrock. It's just like right outside the gates, kind of right to the south of the gates. And if you're not a Premier member, you will get one free Clue scroll according to your level.
Okay, so basically an elite if you're relatively high level. Then.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And I guess that'll get you started. And we also got to see some of the new outfits and new cosmetics that'll be coming. Looking? Man, the Robin Hood stuff is cool. I liked it. Now, with the Robin Hood, they've actually completed the outfit, so that's really cool. And they have made, because it's such a low level equipment, they've actually made an elite version that is tier 80. And it's kind of got some gold piping on it, gold trim. And it looks really nice. It's really kind of cool.
I'm just looking at the stream right now. Someone is bouncing around on, what do you call those horses with the stick?
Yes. I don't know, but it's those things that the kids jump around on. Yes. We finally got mounts in RuneScape. Yes. Yes, those are going to be ridiculous amounts of money if they're rare.
And I'm going to say this. Jagex could have put these out as a Solo Wants general store item, but here we are. It's going to the Clue Scroll, so that's very good.
Yes. I thought that was really cool. They also showed off the tuxedos, and you can wear it as a female character or a male character, whichever gender your character identifies with. You can wear your tux, and I think a dress as well. It's like a ball gown or something. And I don't know. I was kind of drifting off by that point. They lost me a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, ever since this became announced, I have been doing more Clue Scrolls. I'm doing the daily one, or the weekly one rather, from the aquarium, and I try to get a couple other elites per week, though it's normally resulted in hards. But hey, and it's going to be interesting to see where we go with the Master Clue Scroll stuff. Any further information come from this on the second age items?
No, I didn't really hear anything else about the second age items. I think they will be less rare than the third age, I believe.
Oh no, that's interesting.
Don't quote me on that, because they never really, I didn't hear them really mention that part. Good news for you is it will be a clue log, and it has already started tracking your clues and the loot that you've gotten. So since you've already started, it's been keeping track of that. So that's cool. But one thing that I'm excited about, got the gilded boater, and the Cavalier hats.
Yes, I saw those, and I
Yeah.
mean they definitely did need to be updated.
Oh, they're
Are
cool.
they distinct items, or are they ornaments that you add on to existing ones?
I thought they were distinct items,
Okay.
but now that you say that, I don't really know. Um,
Because the just the value of the tier 3 ones have really gone downhill in that regard. So it would be good to have that as an option to just take it up to one level. So
yeah, yeah, that would be cool. And I mean, that's pretty much all that they talked about with the clue rework. But I actually
and
thought,
that's
yeah, this looks
that's a
pretty
good
good.
that's a good amount of things. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I thought it
it's
was
a good
pretty
amount
good.
of info. It's not overly providing too much. So it's good.
Exactly.
All
And
right.
then they started talking about the new bolts that they have coming out, and these are what are they called? Shane, help me out here. Back evil,
Back
back
criminal bolts.
back criminal. Yeah, because who came up with that? Come on,
I have no
back
idea.
criminal, back criminal bolts. Um, they've given new purposes to all of the bolt tips, and so it's kind of cool in some ways. So each of your bolt tip, I mean, everything from like your topaz to your jade to your ruby to you know what I mean? These are all being revamped, but they're also being kind of enhanced. But when I say enhanced, they're really, it's really, they've given them a niche purpose, um, which, I mean, that's good, but will it be enough to make people want to use that niche bolt over something that's just going to hit like a truck anyway? I don't know. But it is, I think it's cool. Um, like the ruby bolts, I think have a have a chance to take 20% of the overall HP down.
See,
Of
that's
course,
good.
they hit you for 10%.
Yeah.
You know,
And
yeah. So there's stuff like that.
it doesn't matter if they're like it, yes, I mean I'm not going to say that. It does matter if they're good on, tier for tier of each bolt type, right?
Mhm.
But as long as there is new choice coming into the game, that is definitely very positive. Um, did we get any idea if this was scope wise like a ninja fix or part of its own update or
I really didn't. To me, it
okay.
seems like it would be. I mean, to me, I've seen the ninjas do updates bigger than
Right.
this. So,
Okay.
oh, and there is supposed to be a tier 95 with this. So that'll be interesting.
And this also partially explains why Seekers and Soul Gazers now drop Dragon and Onyx bolt tips.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So there we go. People were knocking these creatures for what they drop, but hey, there's a reason for getting these right now.
Yep.
Okay, good.
Like I said, it was a transition period, and we're transitioning. We're not. It didn't happen overnight, and even with that, see, these tier 95 bolts, and the changes with the tips. That's all great, but when Solak comes out, that's when you're going to get your tier 92 um, bows. So like your crossbows, like your dual wield. So this is all going to be a series of stuff that works together.
Yeah, and I think what's our highest? We just got Ascension bolts right now, which are tier 90, and they just do
Mhm.
a flat amount of damage, and there's little to no variety in that. So, I think if they can pull this off and they can make these bolts look great and work well, they will have a template for adding this kind of diversity to the melee skill, which that lacks right now.
Yeah, yeah. So that would be good. Next, this I got a little sentimental when I heard this, and it made me think of way, 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 way back in the day when I first started listening to Update. Um, well, maybe not when I first started, but I remember you and Trekkie having a discussion about this on numerous occasions about a certain unfortunate town that got burnt up and neglected for years and years. So it looks like Edgeville is finally gonna get rebuilt, and we'll be able to help in those efforts. So that's cool. And when you're all done, you may get an effigy pet. So
Interesting
yeah,
choice there, Jagex.
yeah,
And I think the very fact they're working on this is great because it shows that this is indeed, something they are dedicated to. Because if it wasn't going to be done, it wouldn't be here, right? In this stream.
that's right. Yeah, yeah.
So okay, so let's think about this for a minute. We have Valentine's Day coming up in February, and they normally do a heart collection kind of event with that, right?
Yeah.
So what I am thinking is that either in April, maybe March, but probably April or May. Actually, no, it's going to need to be April because then we have the spring fair ramp up. So it'll probably be April. We'll see something along the lines of one of those 2-week community events where you can, clean Edgeville up, kind of like they had the beach build-a-thon, right?
That's what I would have thought, but it seems to be pretty independent. So, and the reason I think for that is because it's in a different state for different players.
Oh, yes, of course.
So,
okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
So I actually think this is coming out fairly soon.
They
could be wrong.
Yeah, they have examples here of you getting 2,500 farming XP per tree. Nurturing these trees back up. So that's interesting. And that is something
in groups.
Yeah, that is something you would do with farming skills. And lo and behold, everything just disappears, and it's a transformation of the city. So, I think this is a good way of doing it. I guess I could be wrong on the fact it might come in April. So, all right.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm looking forward to that. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, definitely.
And another thing that I'm really looking forward to this. And I even talk about this in this month's article, but there is a bank taster, is what they're calling it, coming. And I think this has the potential to be the sleeper update of the year. I know it's a big claim, but I really think it has that kind of potential. Looking at this on stream, we are getting presets at the bottom that you can see, and they're easy to get to and easy to pick. It's not just like one or two. You can pick whichever one of your presets are, which is very cool. Now, we knew that we were going to get access to Diango, right? That's cool.
Yeah.
What we didn't know is we're going to have access to our player-owned house and all of the stuff that you have in it directly from your bank. Bank space, baby.
That is pretty massive. Now,
that's pretty massive. Yeah.
I have, I forecasted this at the end of last year, and I said, the way we're going with, all of these things like the Aura bag and whatnot, and we already have Diango, they just need to make an interface for it. We're heading to a point where, to me personally, it doesn't feel like the bank rework is needed anymore.
Yeah, well, and I agree with that because I think we're gonna. I mean, look, we got the Gizmo bag a while back.
That's the other one.
Which helped a lot. Now we're getting an Aura bag, Aura interface. That's going to help a ton. I can see a lot more stuff like that coming into the game, and really, I think the only thing the bank rework lacks after this is placeholders.
Yeah.
Once we have that, there's your bank rework.
And I mean, there are reasons to do the bank rework from a technical perspective because you do want to, bring the bank rework up to code so that it is able to be documented within Jagex and people know how it works and it's modern. But that's not as high priority of an update internally because it's working as is. So there's that.
people are going to love this. I really think people are going to like this. I mean, I don't know. I don't know about like Clan Quest, but over where I'm at, there's a running joke of if you go to a boss, someone has to be like, "Hey, can you hold some of my stuff because I can't put my gear on. I can't change my gear because I have no bank space because we're all hoarders and we're all out and we can't do anything." But if you give us this update and we can start putting stuff in our house and this and that, I mean, I think people's going to love it. It's going to be a home run.
Yeah. And I mean, at the same time, this is in effect delivering what people wanted last year. Because I think after Menaphos, the bank rework was the most popular thing that people wanted.
Yeah. Oh, and I forgot, you get a cleanup option now too. So it'll search your bank and see if you actually have stuff that is just worthless and unnecessary and you can't use. So that's cool.
Yeah. And, like we said, placeholders is the only thing that's needed after this. And, you might not see the need for a bank rework if players are happy with this. Because, let's be real here. It's going to be very complicated to put together a bank rework, rebuilding the bank when people in Jagex didn't know how it worked. So I don't know what they're doing with this, but I'm guessing this is work that is being prototyped for the bank and then just being slipstreamed into the current bank system where it can, and not a complete rewrite. But
yeah, if it works, then I don't see a need for it, because when we say we don't need a bank rework after this, I feel like, well, no, actually, this is our bank rework. Once we have placeholders, this is everything that we wanted. So I would be, I'm good with this. I'm happy.
Yeah. And next up is potion tooltips.
I love me some tooltips. Yeah,
because we had the Mod Shawnee tooltip update at the end of last year, and after that, there were still some items that are missing it, and all the different variants of overload and whatnot in game. It definitely makes sense to have some kind of tooltip on these.
Yeah, finally it's going to tell us what we are drinking will do to us. So that's good.
And it even highlights the negative side effects in red if there are any.
Yeah, see, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
So.
Very nice, very nice.
Yeah. Finally,
anything else from this?
There was one tiny little thing. We're getting the clan updates are finally coming.
Ooh.
So everyone will have access to their own avatar.
That's a nice way of decentralizing it.
It is. You don't have to worry about if you're an admin, you don't have to worry about being chained to an avatar and all of that. So that's cool. On the other hand, if you're in leadership, you don't have to worry about having so many admins that you have to have someone on at all the time so that the avatar can be out at all times.
Yeah, that's something that's a big deal for us. Is we basically had to dedicate an entire rank to people who will apply to be an avatar warden and whatnot, and this is just going to negate the purpose of that rank entirely. So
yeah, I think this is a great update. Now with this update, they're going to do away with orts altogether.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, and you'll be able to I think you just activate your buffs yourself, kind of thing. You have like access to a week, and it might. Don't quote me on this, but I think it has something to do with the fealty, which of course has to do with your skilling at the Citadel, which I actually like that system.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Yeah.
The more skilling you do, the better off it's going to be. Though I don't know if they address this, but there were some questions that, there are so many clans out there that, are completely maxed, and there's no need for resources at them and whatnot. Therefore, people are not going to be able to gather the resources at the Citadel. So what happens for them? I don't know if that was adjusted.
Still go and gather, can't they? I mean, you can still go and put it in. It's just it won't be used.
Oh.
So is there a purpose for you to do it? Not really, but if you want your buff,
you get your extra
then
buff.
you go and do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Neat.
Yeah, because if you go over with your resources, they just go away. It's not, it's
Yeah,
no
and
big deal.
that's definitely something you do not want.
No, especially if you're building. If you're trying to build, that's no good. But um, if you're happy with the tiers of Citadel you have, then really you only have to worry about upkeep. Everything else is gravy. You know?
All right. Well, and
So yeah,
this is the same. This is in the same vein as the bank rework. Is that Jagex says that bank rework is going to come, but it's going to take time. So we get the bank sampler, but now we also heard that we want to do something with clans, and we can't really add on to the Citadel because there's just too many combinations to search and play test and whatnot. So instead, we're going to give you guys this, what I guess is the most requested thing from actual clan members, is the avatar update. Because though I do think that on the admin side of it, a permissions rework would be much appreciated by anyone in leadership.
yeah. Well, they've also mentioned that they were going to. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they're going to increase the amount of resources you get from skilling at the Citadel, or if it's just an XP thing. I think it's the amount of resources, which will then make it a lot faster for you to cap and stuff like that. So that's good too.
All right. Well, that's it for the January content showcase. Just a reminder right now that if you head on over to youtube.com/RSBNB staff, we do publish something every Monday now called the Weekly Bite, or the Weekly RuneScape Bite. And what this is a overview of the week's updates in a 5-minute or less format that also talks about patch notes and whatnot. So it's going to be there, and basically what happens with this is each and every week we talk about the update, the patch notes, and kind of inform you of the RuneScape update in under 5 minutes if you don't want to read the news posting. And with this, we also use it as a jumping off point to answer questions about the upcoming episode of Update and whatnot. So it's something that publishes every Monday on our YouTube at youtube.com/RSBNB staff. Give it a watch and subscribe if you want more of those. And while we're here and you guys are listening to this on an audio MP3, if you do want to subscribe and get RSBNB Update on YouTube, you can do that as well on that same YouTube channel, youtube.com/RSBNB staff. All right. Time for some patch notes, I guess, eh?
That's right.
So, skill plot icons will now appear in Dungeoneering sinkholes. This is...
That's awesome.
Yeah, it really is. Because there's so many things where you're just running around, and I know when I'm running around, and I can't imagine how you do this, but when I'm running around in a Dungeoneering sinkhole, I'm constantly moving my mouse around to find the hover text to find out where the vine is on the wall, for example.
That is the worst one of all. Oh, I hate a woodcutting sinkhole. Oh, I hate it. Yeah, that one's rough. So this is a good patch note.
Definitely. Legend Guild bankers will now display the bank icon on the minimap when the player is on the correct floor. Previously there was no banking icon there. You just had to kind of guess which floor he was going to be on. Even though the banking icon was on the map, it just was on the map regardless of what floor you were on.
Okay.
Though I don't know who uses the Legends Guild bank anymore, but this goes to, the talk we had about when Slayer came out, that prior to Slayer coming out, everyone would just camp the Shadow Warriors in the Legends Guild basement. So that was a convenient banking location. The Lodestone minimap and world map icon has been updated to use its own recolored graphic in legacy interface mode, of course.
Mm-hmm.
The snow effect has been removed from all areas of Prifddinas. Now, if you went to a very remote edge of Prif, and the area where I noticed this last week is that if you went to the construction area, where you can do the monthly construction statue with the scaffolding, it was still snowing there. So that has now been removed, and that's what this was talking about. It was kind of nice, because you get summer in one area, and then you want to go somewhere else, you get some snow, right?
Sure. Can they remove that from my house, from my place?
Oh,
It's
but
cold.
winter is winter. Winter is fun, Tannis.
Ugh, it hurts. It's cold.
I imagine it can physically hurt.
You Canadians are used to it. So.
That's right. That's right. Though with that being said, it is 5 degrees above freezing here today.
Oof. Oof.
So that's actually warm for January, believe it or not.
Jeez.
Players can now auto-redeem Dungeoneering token bags and cash bags, one on Treasure Hunter. That's nice.
Yeah, that's cool.
Players can now transmute up to 30 sets of raw, stackable Arc resources at once. This is good because transmutation in the Arc is one of the best ways that you can level up cooking using, shark soup and whatnot. And that's also a very good way to get Arc chimes. So with that being said, I think it's good to have this limit increased. It should have been increased from the very beginning. Now, here's one that I didn't even notice. The farming skill cape perk now gives the correct amount of potato cactus, and that's mainly because I don't grow potato cactus, though there was a time when I was trying to farm that, and it never procced off, so maybe that might have been something that was tangentially related. The Slayer counter will now display the message special assignment when given a special Slayer task overriding the previous task. Not too big of a deal for me, but I don't know. What do you think about that?
I want a toggle for that so we can turn those things off. Because if I have to tell Morven one more time, no, I've done your stupid challenge and I'm not doing it again, it drives me nuts. Just
All right.
do Slayer.
Yeah. It's no longer possible to create multiple player-owned Slayer dungeons.
Huh?
Exactly.
What?
I don't know how someone would do this, but that seems to be a pretty obscure bug, and I'm glad it didn't make it into the wild. Could you imagine how it would be if you had multiple of these dungeons?
Oh. Yes, I could. Sounds like it could be fun.
Yep. Let's see. Zamorak is no longer visible in the Black Knight's fortress until the death of chivalry has been completed. Good. Keeping up with the lore there. Now, can we remove the TARDIS type thing from the desert before the quest?
That would make sense.
Yeah, that would make sense. Anyways, players who were previously unable to take advantage of the 2-for-1 Rune Metrics Premier Club offer can now do so. And a number of messages typically received on login have been removed or tweaked. And, that's good. Because you're logging in and you get this deluge of messages coming in from the game tab. And you basically need to sort through each of them and figure out what you need to do with them. And that's really annoying. So, glad that's been changed. The following can now be toggled on or off in the chat settings. Player-owned port Voyage complete messages, player-owned port random flavor messages, Eastern Lands login messages, and daily challenge login messages.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I always get spammed with daily challenge messages.
Definitely.
Like, hey, you missed a daily challenge. Yeah, I know. Because I don't daily scape.
And, this is fine. And I always just worry when we keep adding more and more to the options. Because it's going to become it is at a point in some of the menus where a new player coming to the game will have zero idea what this means. So, something needs to be done in the future about these toggles because we can't just keep adding toggles willy-nilly. An option to reset all metrics rows when the data interval is set to since reset has now been added. So basically you can reset all your rows at once now if you're using the since reset interval, which I guess is good for people who like to keep track of what they're up to week to week.
Mm-hmm.
Loot beams now consistently disappear when using a legendary pet to pick up drops. I had no idea.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, they stay up for a long time.
I had no idea that was an issue.
Yeah.
So that's very good. A message in the wardrobe has been tweaked to indicate that unequipable items may need unlocking rather than purchasing. That one gets a huge thumbs up because if you're looking at your wardrobe interface and the customization interface of what the heck is going on there, you have no idea if you need to purchase it with rune coins or if it's a treasure hunter or if it's an in-game unlock. So about time this was added. About time.
Yep, overdue.
The subscribe button was removed for free players when viewing a non-survey poll's results. Yeah.
Sure. Why? But okay.
You know, this is a problem with free-to-play RuneScape currently. If you go to the Lodestone interface, bam, there's a subscribe button. If you go to any part of the map, there's a subscribe button in the top left. There was a subscribe button in the poll interface as well, apparently, with this. So we do have there are just so many subscribe buttons in RuneScape if you're free to play. It's really quite obnoxious, I have to say, as a free to play, as someone who has tested the free to play client in that regard. So,
well, they need to get that fixed before we hit mobile.
Yeah. Like there just needs to be one area to drive people to subscribe, because I think having buttons everywhere, like multiple up on the screen as you could get in this case, is really bad. And take this for an example. You pop open the Lodestone menu, you basically got a shadowed out area of the members area of the game. And each time you click on one of those lodestones in a members area, it offers you the option to subscribe. But let's not forget that if you're doing that, you also have a subscribe button on your main game window as well. So is it really necessary to have this many subscribe buttons cluttering free-to-play RuneScape? Especially if free-to-play is going to be a defining feature of mobile. Because those phone screens are small and you don't want to be taking up that kind of space.
Mm-hmm.
And now players can now right-click the report button to display options for report a player and report a bug. So a nice way of determining what you want to do without actually clicking the button. So, all right. That's it for patch notes this week. I don't think there's anything else.
Nope.
So we're going to move on to our question of the week, and this comes from JamAndy52. I just want to say how much I love the Hati and Sköll content. I love the timing with Vic, and the XP rewards aren't totally what I'm after. I truly enjoy stalking the wolves and the challenge of the kill. I love how it's a very group-friendly for all levels, too. My clannies and I annihilated the wolves tonight, and I can't wait to see others do the same. Do you all have a favorite annual event?
That's a good question. I used to really like Hati and Sköll too. Like that was something I used to really like to do now. But for whatever reason this year, it's not, I don't know, it's just not pulling on me like it usually does. A favorite event. Gosh, it's, double XP weekend.
Well, I guess that happens twice a year. So, I mean, we can allow that.
I clear my schedule for that one.
Yeah. Two really big ones for me are always Halloween and Christmas. The Halloween event, going back a number of years, as long as it's traditional Halloween and not, just a RuneScape scary themed quest. Two of my favorite Halloween events in the past were the one where you hand out candy to people in Lumbridge and you got, I believe, the zombie head from it and they pulled under emote. That one was nice. And the one set in Drainer Manor where you have to vanquish the ghosts in Death Mansion. Those were two really good Halloween-themed events that were Halloween but also still RuneScape as well. So there's that.
Totally agree. That was my favorite Halloween event ever. I love it when it's an actual event, not a quest. So, yeah, I totally agree. I totally forgot about Halloween.
Yeah. Well, there's Christmas too, and favorite Christmas event has to be, I believe it would be 2006 RuneScape. I believe where we had the marionettes and whatnot in the Lumbridge toy factory. I think that was it, as well as the big Christmas tree in the center of Rework that you could decorate. For me, if I was making the 2018 RuneScape Christmas event, what I would do is I would put up a big tree in a number of areas around Oh no, it wasn't 2006. 2006 was a really bad one. Pardon me. 2005 is the one that was really good. But what I would do for the 2018 Christmas event is I would put up a number of Christmas trees around the world, and they would be in, Varrock, Prif, obviously. Find a spot big enough for it in Prif. Maybe you could have it be in the Tower of Voices and just have it be so grand that it touched the ceiling, That would be good. And then you could throw other ones, maybe in Falador and whatnot, and just have these few Christmas trees around the world. And, as you're skilling through RuneScape and, doing your weekly things or whatever you do in game, you get little ornaments that you can throw together with, say, the crafting skill, for example, and then you put these on your tree to unlock rewards for that Christmas event. You could have, a series of, 5 to 8 rewards that you unlock by doing that. And, in that regard, it doesn't become a grind fest like putting the gnome together one was in November, or the heart one, and it's not overpowered. And you still get to, have the general feeling that, okay, we're putting up a Christmas tree and whatnot. So that's what I would do for that event. And to accompany that, I would have it introduced with a small, short Christmas quest that would kind of be on the vein, I guess, of what we had lengthwise for the Halloween quest this year with the lore and whatnot. So I would do that, introduce that, and then that would be the Christmas event. And then at the same time, something we didn't do this past year, open up the Lumbridge crater with some Christmas events that you can do on the side as well. So that would be the ideal Christmas event for me.
You just had to do it, didn't you, Shane? Just had to throw a quest in there, didn't you?
Yeah, well, I mean,
I know.
It just interacts.
You are
nicely.
kind of obligated.
Yeah, it just interacts so nicely, And I'm thinking a shorter quest than what we had this year with the Genome Project.
Yeah, hey, Jagex, that was a free tip. Take him up on that. I would enjoy that. I think my favorite Christmas, I don't know what the year was, but I think we got the black Santa hats this year because you could feed the reindeer, and you could have snowball fights, and there was a big table that you could
2013, December 2013.
I love that one. That was my all-time favorite
Yeah.
Christmas event. That was a good one.
My second favorite after 2005 was, I believe, 2015.
2015.
2015 Christmas event, which was at the Lumbridge crater.
Yeah.
So
was that that was the snowman, right?
Yeah, the snowman with the snowboarding and all that, right?
Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, I like that one too.
No. What I do not like is when they put these holiday events out and they put them in instance areas. Like that one year, we had that instanced area on the Damonheim Island, and it was, there was practically no one there because it felt instanced. And when you're doing a holiday event, you definitely want to be around other people. You don't want to be instanced and whatnot.
Yeah, no, absolutely not.
So. Also, one thing I also would not do is I wouldn't split them into numerous episodes like they did week per week. I think that should just be one event that you can sit down, have done in under a half hour, and then go back for more XP if you want.
Yeah, totally.
All right. Any other favorite annual events?
No, I mean, I do like, I like the spring fair and the beach. I mean, those are always cool, but I mean, really, the one event that I still get really excited about is Double XP Weekend.
Yeah,
that's the
fair.
one.
I'm already formulating plans for my coming Double XP Weekend, so fingers crossed that everything goes well.
There you go.
Alrighty, well, if you guys want to send in a question, you can email them to questions@rsbnb.com. We also take voicemails or text messages at 571-57BNB, which is 571-572-2632. Or you can leave us a DM on Twitter, which is at RSBANDB. And finally, we have update.rsbnb.com/ask, where you can ask us questions there. All right, so on to tech news. Nintendo's at it again. What do you think of this? Nintendo Labo. I'm assuming it's being pronounced right. This is a series of DIY kits launching on April 20th, starting at $69.99 US for a variety kit, and for the robot kits, $79.99 US. And what these do is they interact with Nintendo's handheld hybrid console, the Switch, so that you can effectively make a toy out of your Nintendo Switch.
I just heard about this today, and I thought,
oh, and it's made out of cardboard.
Cardboard for $70. Yeah, I mean,
like, you can get some pretty strong cardboard. I will admit that. And, I have used strong cardboard before. But the issue with cardboard is that it is a fiber, and as you move fibers, as your warm hands and your finger oils interact with it, you weaken it to the point where eventually it's going to start falling apart. So the question is, does someone want to spend $69 or $79 on a toy that could potentially fall apart? Some of the examples they have in the video are a piano that you play with your Switch. Another one is what looks like a invisible scooter. Yeah, like, what do you think? Like,
I think
or a fishing rod.
See, I think the idea of this is actually pretty good. I mean, it's a
Oh,
way
yeah,
to
definitely.
make even
It's
more money
innovative.
off of the Switch.
It's innovative.
Yeah, and the Switch is just killing it anyway. But their choice of materials is not good. I don't know why you couldn't have had plastic or something. I mean, I guess it's not good for the environment. Oh gosh, don't write us. Don't write us. I know the plastic's not as eco-friendly.
It's fine to be a conservationist, but we need to face reality that plastic is a marvelous invention that if you imagine a world without plastic, people would be dying every day.
Well, that's true, and your toys would kind of suck because
that's right.
I'm just saying, like, I think they should have used a different material, even wood or metal or something,
or balsa wood,
other than cardboard.
Balsa wood, then you can cut it out with like a little knife, right? Like a balsa airplane. Though that's probably a thing from the past, right?
That might be a little more hobbyist, style, but it would have been better, I think, than the cardboard. But I like their thinking outside the box here.
Oh, and there's even elastics involved.
Yeah, I think they could do really well with it.
And some of them you can color as well with markers.
That seems to fit Nintendo.
Yeah.
It's yeah. I think it's cool. But a little overpriced and a little under durable, I guess. My concerns.
And I think that this is a remarkable idea, and it shows Nintendo's innovations.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I have talked to some people who own Switches, and their general thought was that this seems like something that would be good for kids. Okay, that's fine, but they also echoed the same points you did. It's way too expensive. $69 and $79 for a cardboard toy that could potentially break. And if Nintendo tries to be, I'm paraphrasing here what I was told, if Nintendo tries to be too kid-friendly, it almost backfires in them because they're in, a similar situation to what Jagex is in right now, where they have a dedicated following of people who grew up on their games, and these people still want to follow Nintendo, and they still want to have the same great games, except they want to have it in a modern form factor on a modern console. Yeah. So by doing this, they risk alienating some of these people.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fine for kids, but yeah, it is expensive. If Nintendo wants to capture that money that's out there from that audience that is diehard Nintendo, make another run of NES Classic. Keep the Super NES coming. Do a 64.
Oh, now that would be interesting.
You know, because we'll buy them. We'll buy them. They ran out.
I mean, if they put out a N64 that ran 1080p, that might be something I would be interested in.
It would be cool, right? I mean, you can cash in on nostalgia, and that's what Nintendo has in spades.
Yeah. If you buy the variety kit for $69, you can make, play, and discover 5 different projects. 2 RC cars, 1 fishing rod, 1 house, 1 motorbike, and 1 piano. And it includes extra sheets for customization, as well as reflective stickers, strings, elastics, including spares, and also eyelet sets. So basically what this means is that you're going to be able to stick it all together.
So this is essentially 5 projects.
5 projects for $69.
Okay. That makes a little bit of a difference, but boy, it's just got to be the right person, I think, to buy that.
And the $79 one is just 1, and it is a robot kit. So I don't know. I mean, it's going to be available at Best Buy and GameStop, as well as, of course, online. I think, you know, what would have been interesting with this, and I think why they didn't do it, is because it would have cost too much on their side. They probably wanted a Nintendo Switch partnership with Lego.
Oh, that would have been cool. Yeah, that'd
because
be cool.
If you imagine, like, imagine the versatility of Lego, because you were saying plastic. Lego bricks are plastic, and those don't break.
No, they'll break your foot before you break the Lego. Yeah.
So
that would have been cool, and just all the marketing.
But of course, Lego is so big; the licensing would have probably been atrocious. So, I mean, why not go with something cardboard then that you can effectively, you know, just print out a template of, and, you know, provide some basic cuts on it, and away you go. But it comes down to the point where I know people who have a Switch. They're not interested in it because they're the same generation as I am, where they grew up on the Nintendo games, and they just want more of that. So I'm guessing this is going to be targeted towards a new generation of kids and getting them involved in the Switch. So we'll have to see how it goes.
You know, in one hand, I guess it's this could be like a selling point for a dad who's really trying to justify spending the money because he wants a Switch. But it's for the whole family, honey. Look, we can get the kids involved, and I can make things and spend time with them. Meanwhile, he's playing, you know, Mario Kart. Let's go. But you never know.
Yeah. We'll have to see how it sells, and if it's a one-off production run or not. So, because if they do end up producing more of these, then that'll show that it's been successful. Because right now, you could potentially see something like this being a one-off production run, and they're actually holding a series of Nintendo Labo studios around the U.S. in San Francisco and New York, and they want it to be with parents and kids aged 6 to 12. For a 3-hour studio event. So that's definitely where they're going with this. So we'll just have to wait and see what comes from it.
Yeah, cool.
All right. So next up, Facebook is making some changes to their news feed. So, you know, you hear about news and you're talking with someone, right? And they say, "Oh, where'd you hear about that?" And they'll say, "Oh, I read it on Facebook." And, you know, that's something that has become increasingly common over the last number of years, I want to say. I think we can both agree with that.
Yeah.
Is that, you know, so many people are sharing news, and websites and whatnot are publishing their own news on Facebook, that Facebook is becoming that destination for so many people. So much so that We'll get to that in actually just a moment here. So many publishers are publishing news on Facebook that it is in a way driving people away from actual sources of what's going on. And, that's not the way the web was designed. And it's concentrating power in the hands of Facebook, which is just too much to ask at this point, I think. So what Facebook is doing this week is they published an update called Bringing People Closer Together. And they say Facebook was built to bring people closer together and build relationships. One of the ways we do this is by connecting people to meaningful posts from their friends and family in their newsfeed. Over the next months, we'll be making updates to ranking people so they have more opportunities to interact with the people they care about. So basically the idea behind this is that you will see more posts and shared items on your feed if you're a Facebook user from your friends rather than large publishers who you might be following. And I think that makes sense because people want to connect with the people that they know, right? If you want to read the New York Times, you'll go to the New York Times, I think.
Yeah. So Facebook is, I don't know, doing what they're created to do.
Yeah. And there's a number of reasons I think they can do this. And I think they're probably getting pressure from publishers because publishers like the New York Times and whatnot on their own websites are going to be running advertisements. And that money goes directly to them. Whereas if they're publishing on Facebook exclusively, Facebook needs to take a cut of it, which just isn't right for many large companies. And I'm speaking, specifically of the New York Times, Fox News, CNN, so on and so forth. So that's one reason I think they're doing it. The second reason I think that they are doing this is that if pages are deprecated and people's posts are given a higher precedence, it means that for people who have pages and want to be publishers on Facebook, they're going to need to pay money to Facebook to have their posts promoted. And that's where the net benefit to Facebook comes in. Because if you are a publisher on Facebook, you are constantly hounded to promote certain posts by paying Facebook money. So if the impressions of your page goes down as a publisher, you're going to be more likely to pay Facebook that money to promote those posts, I think. So Facebook gains from this monetarily, and people gain from this in that they see more from the people that they know and love, their families and friends on Facebook. And it also has the net benefit that when people share stuff on Facebook, it's going to be shared organically rather than just being spoon-fed down a feed to public. So I think this is a good idea, and Facebook has come up with a way to do it probably internally. They didn't say this is what they're doing, where they can end up making more money in the long run.
I think these are good changes. I kind of have a love-hate relationship with Facebook. It took me a really long time to get on it because I was reluctant and didn't want to. And then I did, and I got to say, I haven't been very impressed. I haven't been. Now, I like the fact that you can, be connected to people that live far away and stuff like that. That's great. But over the last, and the last year was just terrible, but the last few years for that matter, all I see is political opinions, news, this and that, the stuff that I feel that Facebook isn't created for. And it can kind of mess up with your perceptions of people, and I don't like that. Oh,
yes, definitely.
I don't like that at all. Now, on the other hand, Facebook has been consequential when it comes to spreading the word with, what I've been doing. So, it's a love-hate relationship.
Yeah, and I mean, they hook people in by getting people to use their messaging platform. And, you're not going to delete an account for a website where you have, 50 people that use that as your main point of contact. And that, could be considered monopolistic almost because it's a closed platform or closed standard. But that's a topic for another show. And, I think at the end of the day, what is shared will probably be better because it'll be shared more organically. So, and I mean, there is the underlying thing here that says in this post, does this mean that you are eliminating page content from news feeds? And the answer is no. This update is not the same as the recent tests where all page content was moved to the Explore tab. Page posts will still appear in the news feed, though there may be fewer of them. So, and it's all an algorithm. They could have just done this and not told anyone, but they definitely need to tell them in that regard. So,
yeah, I think we've had enough of Facebook just doing things and not telling people.
Yeah.
They don't have a good track record when it comes to turning us into social experiments. So, no, they need to tell us.
And, just on the flip side, I was going to say about, the publishers getting angsty about this. Well, some publishers who do have large Facebook presences, including, one tech publication and one major journalistic front, have all said, "Oh my gosh, this is going to be horrible. This is going to be horrible. It's going to perpetrate fake news. You got to trust us. Better to use our pages for Facebook." But you can tell that they're scared of their own livelihood here if their content is taken down, because quite frankly, the two websites I was looking at, those websites on their own do not have the merit of people sharing them, if it wasn't for the generous stuff that is on people's Facebook feeds. So I think publishers are going to be worried about this, and rightfully so. It's long time that people started actually reading news on actual websites again, because it's just so horrible when you ask someone, where did you hear about this, and the answer is Facebook or Twitter. I would like to hear where you actually heard about this. Exactly.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
It's actually really interesting. But anyways, so this week's tech news isn't going to be as consequential as last week or as massive as last week's in terms of the explanation that we did about Meltdown Inspector. But there is a new vulnerability for Mac and iOS devices that can cause the Messages app to freeze and stop working. So if you're an iOS user, it was started to be shared on Twitter that there's now a link going around that exploits a bug. And if you receive this link through the Messages app, whether you're on your Mac, your iPhone, or an iPad, the app can become unusable. And so basically what happens is this link goes to a GitHub page, which is a website that people use to store source code for open source projects. And open source is basically a way of distributing an application so everyone can read the source code, and GitHub is a main way of doing that. So by linking to this GitHub page, it breaks the Messages app and basically prevents you from using it. And you're not going to even be able to open it. You'll just be able to tap the Messages button, then poof, it'll disappear. And the running theory behind this is that it comes down to the feature that allows you to preview web links in the Messages app on iOS and the Mac. So the only solution for this right now is to quit out of the Messages app and then delete the entire offending conversation to restore full functionality, which you might not want to do if it's someone you've been chatting with for a long time. So Apple is fixing these in the next versions of their operating systems. Apple has addressed the bug in iOS 11.2.5, which is currently in beta and should probably be shipping in the next week or so. So just be careful if you have someone who's a prankster who you message from time to time.
And be careful with don't say anything on your phone that you don't want someone else to see, because that would really suck if it froze at the wrong time, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not a freeze; it's an actual crash. So it's not.
Okay.
It's not going to be like that.
So you're not going to your words won't be immortalized and stuff.
No.
Oh, I didn't say that. I swear.
And to some levels, that it's actually causing the device to shut down.
Oh, jeez. Wait, what happened to the impenetrable Apple products? What's going on here?
Well,
Shane?
This is what happens when you build an entire version of iOS, which was iOS 10, around revamping messages from a standard SMS and online messaging platform to something that is rich media and, has lots of little floating images and whatnot in it. That's what happens when you get that. You can have all kinds of little things crop up like this. So there is apparently a way to get around this by using parental restrictions and blocking the GitHub domain name, github.io. But you likely don't have to worry about this unless you talk to pranksters. So
Okay.
All right. That's it for tech news this week. Not as scary as last week, but still something to be on the lookout for if you're a iOS or Mac user. So,
yeah.
All right. Our skill of the month for January is magic, and we have a lead change this week. And it's very, very close, actually.
Ooh.
Parnassus is in first place with 5.7 million XP gained. Second place is X-Blades with 5.6 million XP gained. And Sorensen 57 has shot up to third with 3.9 million XP gained. So we pretty much got a three-way race going on here. Potentially a four-way race, depending what happens with double XP weekend. And, I wasn't anticipating this because it's magic, and, magic is something that you can either train via combat or you can just sit there alking or teleporting somewhere. So I'm actually surprised to see this kind of race going on. So very interesting to say the least.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. There is no double XP weekend this month. I got ahead of myself. Oops.
That's next month.
Oh boy, I got ahead of myself. Anyways, so your positions are Parnassus 1, X-Blades 2, and Sorensen 57-3 with a very close race for first and second. We'll definitely be looking at to seeing how this shapes out going forward. So we have some achievements this week. Not as many as last week. So.
Well, last week kind of covered.
Yeah, last week kind of covered half a month, didn't it?
Yeah. Slightly.
Okay, so starting off on the 17th of January, we have iHerbla with 120 Slayer. And iHerbla is a hardcore Iron Man from Clan Quest. So that's even more impressive achievement there with that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Next up is Tatagi with 99 ranged, also on the 17th, and Eric's with 99 constitution, and Halal Bacon with 99 defense.
Hello.
We also have Trips Travis with 99 defense on the 16th, and VSS with 99 magic and 99 slayer, also on the 16th of January.
And then on the 15th of January, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, We're Cool with 99 invention. X-Blades with 120 construction on January 14th. Constitution. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, they're kind of hard to. They're kind of easy to mess up from time to time.
Okay, that was on the 14th, and Blue Hubbard got 99 strength on the 14th, and a Seafarer with 99 rune crafting on January 14th.
Woo!
Yeah, so good job, everybody. Nice achievements all around.
We also have VSS with 99 ranged on the 12th of January, and Eric's with 99 magic on January 11th. Congratulations, everyone. Nicely done all around, especially that Iron Man 120 Slayer. That's something you don't see very often, is it?
No, I actually, I don't know if I've ever seen it, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And, I mean, that's definitely a case of where you want to show the Iron Man off. And that's why, going back to our discussion last week about Group Iron Man, I don't think it's that good of an idea to have Group Iron Man because it completely defeats the point of what Iron Man is.
Yeah.
So.
Yep, totally agree.
All right. Time for a pick of the week. This week, I am going to start off my picks of 2018 with a game. I presume this is only available on iOS, but there might be an Android version. So this is a game that is, deceptively simple, but it's not really. It's called Sköll. And what you do is you have a square. And in this square, you have a bouncing ball. And your job is to prevent that bouncing ball from roaming around in too big of a square. So basically what you do is you drop down little segmenters that segment your square away. And what you want to do is you want to get it to a point where the ball can't move. So you need to basically make the field at play as small as you can. Now you might say, oh, this is simple, but there's actually a big caveat with this. You cannot let the ball touch your tool while you're moving it around, and the lines are expanding out on the screen. So that makes it really hard to do. And it's complicated by the fact that in addition to, just moving your tool around, there are some levels where you cannot rotate the tool. So that makes it so that you basically are at the mercy of where the ball is bouncing. And the whole idea behind it is that you progress and level up through this. And, it's, like I said, it looks simple on paper, but it's actually really, really hard to do. So the app is called Sköll, and it's just, it's a unique little time waster. It doesn't require a huge amount of brain power, but it's something that is actually also very addictive as well. So, and, that's something I think that a lot of people don't really think about is that, there are games out there that require tons of game power or brain power, but they're also kind of annoying to play at the same time. Well, this one doesn't require brain power, yet it's annoying to play, and that makes it rewarding in my opinion. And it's available on the iOS App Store. And, I still have problems playing this today. Even though I started playing it a bit over the Christmas break, it's still something that is difficult to me, just because you need to make sure that the ball doesn't hit your lines as they are expanding outward. So, yeah, definitely give this a try. And the full link can be found in the show notes at update.rsbnb.com to Sköll. I believe it's a free app that's augmented by ads. And if you want to remove the ads, you can pay something like $2 to get rid of them. So it's not too bad.
Cool. So if you like moving your tool around, try Sköll.
And, it gets more complicated along the way. It starts off with a square, but eventually you get to shapes that are like an E and a Christmas tree, for example. Oh. So, yeah. Simple, but deceptive, and it gets harder as you progress through it. So it's called Sköll. Available in the iOS App Store. And it's got a 4 out of 5 rating, too, which is something that you don't really find much these days because, there's just so much garbage on the App Store,
Yeah, I've noticed that.
Sköll is the app.
Cool.
All right. What have you been up to this week on RS?
A little bit of divination, and I'm going to go hunt the wolves tonight.
Oh, good.
But
so you're actually going to do it.
Oh, yeah. No, It's on my to-do list. It's been a really super busy week. It's been a busy couple weeks, week. But yeah, I've been doing some div and been just preparing, getting my charge packs ready for double XP weekend and sitting back. I did I did do some Slayer on Saturday. Did some Gemstone Dragons, and so that was cool. Did some streaming and. Yeah, we're gonna do the wolves tonight and see what happens next week. Who knows what next week's updates will be? Yeah,
on that note, I actually did some Slayer as well. I got level 98 Slayer.
Oh, nice!
So I unlocked. I believe I unlocked the Onyx Gemstone Dragons.
Oh, cool!
I think that's them. I have been told those are phenomenal Slayer XP, so I would like to actually try one of those. So I don't know how hard it is to get an Onyx. Gemstone Dragon task or Gemstone Dragon task.
Once you get it, prefer it because they are really good XP. And that's the Onyx. Wait till you get to the Hydrix. Oh,
yeah,
that's good.
That's what I've heard.
It's so good
because wouldn't it be interesting if I could bang off level 99 Slayer before double XP weekend in that regard?
Well, you could if you get enough of these tasks. And let me tell you a secret, Shane. Use range. But stay in melee distance. If you stay in melee distance and use range, they won't hit you with the specials.
Interesting.
Little tip.
And I assume using Bane ammo?
Yeah, I do, but if you use Ascension bolts, it doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
I don't have Ascensions. I'm poor.
Yeah, well, me too. So yeah, Bane's what we use.
Yeah. Yeah, but aside from that, I recharged the divination charge and whatnot as well. So lots of simple part collection and some divine energy for that. So it should be good for a while on that front. Beyond that, clue scroll, elite clue scrolls. It's always annoying when you get a less than 500k elite clue scroll, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So. But aside from that, it's a wonder we're here at the end of this podcast this week. I did have a situation this week where my iMac of almost 7 years old, just bit the dust, power supply issue or logic port issue, depending. And, when a computer is 7 years old, it's a question of, do you want to put the money into that, or do you want to put it towards something new? So, I put it towards something new, and it appears to be holding together for this episode. We'll have to see how it turns out once I edit it and whatnot. That'll be the true test, editing video on it and whatnot. So, but yeah, it's always an interesting question of what to do, because there are a couple of distinct pieces of software that I use that just work really well on the Mac for podcasting and routing audio, and those don't exist on Windows. So it makes doing what I do a lot easier in that I don't need extra physical hardware, which on its own would cost hundreds of dollars. And, at that point, you might as well just use the Mac. So,
yeah, well, that makes sense.
Yeah, and we didn't have any audio questions this week, and we couldn't have had audio questions this week because that part's not set up yet, based on the audio drivers that I was using. I still need to investigate that with the workflow to determine how we're going to route audio on here, if we're going to do it the same way we did before, do it differently today. But that's an issue for me to work out. But yeah, it's a base 27-inch iMac with the 1 terabyte Fusion drive. That could be the area that slows it down, but we'll have to wait and see. Haven't had any hiccups while recording video and audio doing the podcast, so that's good. It runs RuneScape. It runs RuneScape at 60 FPS, which is telling because it is a 5K display at high DPI. The only issue is something with the AMD drivers on the Mac operating system prevents the game from implementing ultra water quality and MSAA anti-aliasing, which, it should be able to run those with no problems because it is a Radeon 870 GPU, which is a new GPU by all standards. So I don't know what the issue with that is, if it's jagex or the drivers, but it's something I have on my to-do list to work out the kinks of going forward. But fingers crossed, you guys will be hearing this on Saturday. And correction, it's a Radeon 570, actually. And all I got to say is that the display is really, really nice. So,
well, I'm just glad you're able to pull something together and be able to do the podcast this week.
Yeah. I was working on contingency plans for if I wasn't able to get one in time, but thankfully we didn't need to go that route. It wouldn't have been as smooth, that's for sure. So
yeah, I remember I was just talking to my wife. I'm like, I know how I do videos. I have no idea how Shane does audio. I'm like, if I can't use OBS, then I'm pretty much lost. I mean, I know a lot about that one particular thing, but
yeah,
I don't know how.
I don't know, like listeners in tennis. I don't know out there, you guys. Is this something you guys would be interested in hearing about? After I get this all smoothed out, like, how do we go from show notes to a finished MP3 file? I did that once a number of years ago, but is that something I think that people would be interested in?
Something I would be interested in? I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe leave us a, if you watch the YouTube, definitely leave us a comment.
Yeah.
On that,
or even on the forum thread if you're listening to the audio.
Yeah.
Or Twitter at RSBANDB works too.
There we go.
So
all the social media.
Yeah, definitely. Because I mean, I like talking about this stuff, but I don't know if there's the ears out there to hear how it works. So, anyways, but yeah, that's been my week. Not too much else to say. I don't think anything else for this week's episode of RSBANDB Update.
Nope, I don't have anything.
Alrighty then. Well, with that being said, we'll see you guys next week for another episode of RSBANDB Update.
Take care.